Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're starting out with this image here, which I provide a link for you to download it. It's a stock image, and we're going to turn it into this image right here. A fun little whimsical painting today. It's really easy to do. Today I did something a little bit different. I made my own painted background. I will provide that background for you so you can download it and insert it into the image. And you can follow along with me. It's a great way of learning. So you could download the actual stock image as well as my background. I'll show you how I do everything. This is going to be a fun one. I got the artist hat on today, so without any further ado, let's get started. We have this cute little image of this deer here, and I thought it would make a nice little magical little painting. What I did was I went down to my adjustment layers and picked a curves adjustment layer right here. Let me turn it on and I'll show you. All I did, as you can see, I just pulled up on the center of the curve, brightened up the midtones just to lighten it up and give it a little bit more happiness, a little bit more life, because I thought, you know, that looks a little bit dull and dreary, but that looks a lot more alive. And so I was happy with that. Then I just stamped this onto a new layer right here. And I used my healing tool to get rid of this little, see this little fly or dragonfly or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I didn't like it, so I just went over it with a healing brush. I didn't even make a blank layer. I just thought, I'm just getting rid of it. I was feeling really creative today, you know what? And I like the foreground here, but the background I wasn't liking so much, so I thought, I'm going to use Mask AI and just get rid of the background, you know, from this section up. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and paint my own background in, and I'm also going to provide that background for you if you want to use it, or you could go ahead and paint your own background, and I'll show you how I did it. But the first thing we need to do is cut out the deer, and we're going to use Mask AI to do that. It's going to be very simple, a one-click deal, and we're done. I'll go ahead and launch TOPAZ Mask AI, if I can find it. There it is. Mask AI uses something called a tri-map. Now you notice I have this blue brush right here. That's a compute brush. So what I'm going to do is just kind of paint around the area that I want Mask AI to compute. This would be where it has to really find the edges of things. So I'm just going to paint around the deer. This is really fast. I mean, I could have used the select object deal, but I just want to hand paint this in like that, because again, I want this to look kind of organic down here, and it's going to do a real nice and easy job around that deer. But tri-map, so we have the green area is the area I want to keep. The blue area is the area I want to compute and find the mask edges, and then I need to do another color to have the three colors for the tri-map, and that is the red. So see this bucket here, this red bucket, that is the cut bucket. I'm just going to click right here and it fills that in very simply. And then all I need to do is click on, I have a choice here, mask mode, AI or contrast. I generally use AI for more complicated masks. This mask isn't that hard, but it's a little complicated down here where I have this organic line drawn across here. So I'll just click compute mask. And we're basically done. Let me go ahead and just zoom in a little bit and check around the deer here. I'm turning this into a painting, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, that looks good enough. That's what I meant by one click. I did have to do a little bit of drawing, but then that one click with the mask mode AI, and now I'm going to click apply, and it's going to just apply that mask, and I have a layer mask right here. Now you don't see any change here yet, but you will in a sec. I don't really need this layer 1 anymore. So what I'm going to do is fill that with the color. Now I have this color picked right here. And to fill it, I'm just going to use a shortcut. It's really quick. Shift Delete, and my fill dialog box comes up, or you could come up to the file menu and get it that way. I just find this easier. And you have a choice here in the drop down. You can use a foreground, background, or a color, or black, 50% gray or white. I want the foreground color, which is this color right here. Click OK. And now you can see my mask with the deer here, and here's that organic shape that I cut out there. If you'll remember at the start of the video, I told you I was feeling creative and I decided to make my own background. I wanted to paint it in. Well, I need to backpedal a little bit here and show you what I did. So let me show you my original image that I worked this all out on here, okay? And let me go ahead and turn on layer 1 copy so you can see here. Here's kind of where we're at now, right? what I showed you on my image. The shape here at the bottom looks a little bit different. But anyway, what I did was I added that color like I just showed you. And then let's go to this next layer right here and I'll turn it on. Here's where I started using some paint brushes. So let me get my brush tool up here. I have a bunch of different paint brushes that I have in my arsenal of brushes. And I have some watercolor effects brushes in here. And I use those brushes to paint this here. Okay. And this tutorial is not about how to paint the background, but you can paint the backgrounds using different brushes and stuff. I'll probably do a tutorial sometime showing you how to do that. But I have provided this actual background for you so you can download that and just use it. But I created this background here. I started out, with different colors and things. And by the way, here's how I got my colors. See this Adobe color theme right here? This is a really cool tool here, and you'll find it when you go up into Window. If you don't see it on your toolbar here, go up to Window and go into Extensions, and you're going to have it. It's called Adobe Color Themes. Just click on that, and you'll get this tool up here. And then you have different ways of getting different colors, like complementary colors, analogous colors. And I just used that to determine what colors would work for this background here. And again, this tutorial today is not about that. But that's how I did this, okay? And it wasn't hard to do. So I got the background here, and then I kept adding new layers, like layer 4 right here. I added some more color in here, and then I added a little bit more color right here, all right? And I got to this point, and there's my layer mask here. And already it looks pretty cool. And you notice how, like, right down in this section here, I have, like, these, I kind of made, like, shapes that looked a little bit like grass and things like that. Just organic shapes. I was just really loose. This was really easy and quick to make, by the way. I didn't want to leave this background creation part out because I wanted you to see the method I used to get to this point here. Now, let's go back to the image we're working on here. So I told you I did provide you with a background. So all you need to do is download that background. And once that background is downloaded, come up here to File, and come to Place Embedded, and your Finder will come up, your computer's Finder will come up, be it Mac or Windows, and just point it to the location of that downloaded file. Mine's right here, so I'll click it and then click Place. And that places it, and you'll notice this transform bounding box comes up here. You could just click anywhere off the canvas here. Like I just go over here by my layers and give it a click, and that goes away. We don't have to transform it because it will be the right size for you, okay? And it comes in as a smart object, so if you want to, if you don't want to keep it as a smart object, you can right click right here and click rasterize if you want to. Doesn't really matter. And now we notice we have our image with the background underneath it. Okay, and we have our mask. We've already made our mask. So already right there, that looks pretty cool. Now all we need to do is stamp this onto a new layer. So we pull the whole image together. So I'm just going to stamp it. I'm using my Tony Kuiper action. It's a lot quicker. So we stamp it, and I'm just going to call this TS2. And now we're going to apply the painterly effect to it. So now it's called TS2. All we need to do is come up here to Filter and launch Topaz Studio 2, and we'll turn this into a painting. This is going to be quick and simple. We'll just come up to Add Filter, come down to the Impression Filter, and then I went down to the presets at the very bottom here, and I chose a preset, and I believe it was Oil Pastel. That one right there, and I clicked Apply. Just like so. And I was really happy with this magical, dreamy looking image right here. And I don't think I really messed with it too much, other than I took the opacity, and I think I pulled the opacity back a little bit. Yeah, I didn't want it too strong. See, like there, it's nice. You may like it there, and you can leave it there if you like it. But for me, I just liked it pulled back a little bit. And that looked nice. And I just took the settings just the way they were. Now it's also using like a texture, which is, yeah, use this texture right here called Paper 5. So let me zoom in. You can see that texture on there. So I like that. I thought that looked really cool. But isn't that a fun little painting? And then what I did was I added another filter. I always like to use either the Precision Detail or the Precision Contrast, or both. In this case, I just used the Precision Contrast. And I took the low contrast. I was only worrying about the deer and the foreground here. So I took the low contrast and I started to bump it up. And as I start moving it to the right, I'm really looking at the deer in the foreground. And you notice how the deer in the foreground starts to pop a little bit. And I'm really liking what's happening. Then I'm taking my medium and I'm starting to move it to the right and just analyzing the image as I go. And I think high is good where it is, and I think micro is good. I might maybe just a little tiny bit of micro. And I mean a tiny little bit. And then I went and got myself a layer mask, inverted the layer mask. See these three dots? Give that a click. Invert the layer mask. And now let's get a brush tool. So just click on the brush tool. And now this transparency slider is very important. I don't want to add the full strength maybe to the deer, but possibly. I want to add a good bit. So I'm going to drag this slider up. Now if I take it the whole way to the right, it turns white, and that would add the full amount of the effect on it. And I might just back it off a little bit. I want a lot, but maybe not the whole thing. Now let's adjust our radius a little bit. I think it's a little too large. I might pull my softness in a bit. Just going to paint up in here. I like the fact that that we get the overlay here. We can be a little bit sloppy here. I have the edge aware on here. So that's going to help find the edges of this. Something like this I think is going to be good. Yeah, see how that deer just pops off? Let me make my brush a little bit smaller and get the top of the deer's ear right here. I want to make sure I got that, yeah, to stand out. Now I'm going to take this transparency and bump it more to the darker side of things, darker grays like this. Maybe right around in here. Make my brush larger, and I'm going to paint on that foreground now. So I'm going to come in here and just paint the foreground area here. Just like this. Come under here, around the deer, like that. I'll get a smaller brush. But yeah, just add a little bit more there. And if I want even more than that, let me go ahead and move the transparency to the right a little bit more. And I'm going to move my softness, give myself a little more softness. I'm going to paint that one more time. I thought I could use a little more effect there. Nobody says you can't paint it twice. Okay, right down in here, just to add a little bit more effect. And now I'm going to paint in here, make my radius a little bit smaller, and just paint in this area right here. So here's the before and here's the after. A sweet little painting. If we're happy with everything, all we need to do is click accept and we'll go right back into Photoshop. We started out with this image and we end up with this image right here. I'm really happy with this one today. It's a nice, fun little, I think, whimsical little painting. Don't forget, I provide this background for you so you can go ahead and download it and try this out or make your own background. Well, there it is, episode number 19 of my Topaz Studio 2 Creative Toolbox series. I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was a little bit different today with that hand-painted background. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this tutorial today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And if you're not yet a subscriber to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you will be notified about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today on The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly.